Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling confused, doubting yourself, or even apologizing for something you're not sure you did? Have you ever felt like someone subtly twisted your words, shifted the blame, or made you question your own memory? If so, you may have experienced the hidden tactics of manipulative people. Today, we're going deep into the secret psychological strategies manipulators use, how they operate beneath the surface, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself. Manipulation is rarely loud or obvious. It doesn't usually announce itself with aggression or clear hostility. Instead, it often arrives disguised as charm, concern, vulnerability, or even love. Manipulative people are skilled at studying others. They observe your reactions, your insecurities, your desires, and your fears. They don't just communicate with words. They communicate with strategy. One of the most common tactics is gaslighting. This term became widely recognized after the film Gaslight, in which a husband manipulates his wife into doubting her sanity. In real life, gaslighting happens when someone consistently denies your reality. You might say, "You promised you'd be there," and they respond, "I never said that. You're imagining things." Over time, repeated denial erodes your confidence in your own perception. The manipulator's goal isn't just to win an argument, it's to destabilize your sense of truth. Once you doubt yourself, you become easier to control. Another subtle tactic is love bombing. At the beginning of a relationship, a manipulative person may overwhelm you with attention, compliments, gifts, and constant communication. You feel special, chosen, intensely valued. This flood of affection creates emotional dependency. The sudden intensity builds trust quickly, but it's not built on authenticity. It's built on strategy. Once they sense you're attached, the behavior shifts. The affection becomes conditional. You start chasing the version of them you first met. You try to earn back the warmth. That emotional roller coaster is not accidental. It's engineered. Triangulation is another powerful strategy. This is when a manipulator brings a third person into the dynamic to create jealousy, competition, or insecurity. They might say, "Everyone else agrees with me," or "My ex never had a problem with this," or "You should see how much more supportive my coworker is." By introducing comparison, they destabilize your confidence and position themselves as the judge. Suddenly, you're not just interacting with them, you're competing against invisible standards. The manipulator thrives in this triangle because it keeps you off balance. Then there's projection. A manipulative person will accuse you of the very behavior they are engaging in. If they are being dishonest, they may call you untrustworthy. If they are flirting behind your back, they may accuse you of being unfaithful. Projection serves two purposes. First, it distracts from their behavior. Second, it puts you on the defensive. Instead of questioning them, you're scrambling to prove your innocence. The conversation shifts away from their actions and toward your supposed flaws. Manipulators also use selective vulnerability. They may share a tragic story or a painful memory early in the relationship. This isn't always malicious. Sometimes it's genuine, but in manipulative dynamics, it's strategic. The story is used to lower your guard. You feel empathy. You want to protect them. Later, that vulnerability becomes a shield. If you confront them about hurtful behavior, they might respond with, "After everything I've been through, you're going to treat me like this." Suddenly, you're the villain for holding them accountable. Another tactic is moving the goalposts. No matter what you do, it's never enough. You meet one expectation, and they quietly replace it with another. You clean the house, but now it's not clean enough. You apologize, but now your tone wasn't sincere enough. You improve, but now you should have improved sooner. This keeps you in a constant state of striving. You're chasing approval that never truly arrives. The manipulator maintains control by ensuring the finish line keeps shifting. Silent treatment is another calculated method. When a manipulative person feels challenged or wants to punish you, they withdraw emotionally and physically. They stop responding. They become cold. They create distance without explanation. Humans are wired for connection, and sudden withdrawal triggers anxiety. You begin to replay conversations in your mind, wondering what you did wrong. The silence becomes louder than words. Eventually, you may apologize just to restore peace, even if you're unsure why. The manipulator learns that silence equals power. Guilt tripping is a classic tool. It often sounds like, "After all I've done for you," or "If you really loved me, you would." These statements are designed to make you feel indebted. Healthy relationships are based on mutual care, not scorekeeping. But manipulators keep a mental ledger. They remind you of favors, sacrifices, and gestures, not as expressions of love, but as leverage. You start making decisions not from desire or logic, but from guilt. Feigning confusion is another subtle move. When confronted, a manipulator may act bewildered. "I have no idea what you're talking about. You're overthinking. You're too sensitive." By dismissing your concerns as irrational, they avoid accountability. Over time, you may internalize the message that your feelings are excessive or invalid. This erodes your self-trust and reinforces their authority. Playing the victim is one of the most powerful strategies in a manipulator's arsenal. No matter what happens, they position themselves as the one who has been wronged. Even when confronted with evidence, they redirect the narrative toward their suffering. If you express hurt, they escalate it into how deeply they are hurt by your accusation. The focus shifts away from the issue and onto comforting them. In extreme cases, they gather allies by presenting a distorted version of events, casting you as the aggressor. Manipulative people are often skilled at mirroring. Early in interactions, they reflect your interests, values, and preferences. If you love a certain hobby, suddenly they do too. If you value certain beliefs, they enthusiastically agree. Mirroring creates a false sense of compatibility. You feel understood and connected, but because the identity was constructed to match yours, inconsistencies eventually appear. When they no longer need to secure your attachment, the mirroring fades. Another tactic involves creating urgency. Decide now, this is your only chance. If you don't commit today, I'm walking away. Urgency reduces your ability to think critically. It pushes you into emotional decision-making. Manipulators understand that pressure clouds judgment. By compressing time, they limit your access to reason. They also use intermittent reinforcement, a psychological principle found in behavioral conditioning. When rewards are unpredictable, the attachment becomes stronger. It's similar to how gambling works. You don't win every time, but the occasional win keeps you playing. In relationships, this looks like cycles of affection followed by withdrawal. Just when you're about to give up, they show warmth again. That unpredictability strengthens emotional dependency. Some manipulators weaponize praise. Compliments are used not to uplift you, but to shape your behavior. I love when you're not so emotional. You're at your best when you don't argue. The underlying message is that your value depends on compliance. Over time, you may adjust your personality to maintain approval. Isolation is another dangerous tactic. It doesn't always happen dramatically. Instead, it unfolds gradually. They may criticize your friends subtly. I don't think they really care about you. They may create conflict that makes social interactions stressful. Eventually, you find yourself spending less time with others. As your support network shrinks, their influence grows. Financial control can also be a form of manipulation. This may involve controlling access to money, monitoring spending excessively, or creating dependency by discouraging financial independence. When resources are controlled, freedom narrows. Some manipulators rely on intellectual dominance. They overwhelm conversations with complex arguments, rapid speech, or selective facts. This can leave you feeling outmatched. The goal isn't dialogue. It's intimidation. When you feel less informed, you may defer to their perspective. Others use moral superiority. They frame disagreements as ethical failures on your part. Instead of debating ideas, they question your character. This tactic pressures you into agreement to avoid appearing immoral or selfish. Boundary testing is another hallmark. Manipulators often start small. A minor disrespect here, a small overstep there. If you tolerate it, they escalate. If you push back, they may laugh it off as a joke. This gradual expansion normalizes behavior that would have been unacceptable at the beginning. Charm is perhaps their most deceptive weapon. Many manipulative individuals are charismatic. They know how to make others laugh, how to appear generous in public, how to perform kindness when watched. This public persona creates doubt when you describe private mistreatment. Others may say, they seem so nice, that social credibility protects them. They may also exploit your empathy. If you are compassionate, they frame their needs as urgent crises. If you are responsible, they emphasize their helplessness. If you fear abandonment, they threaten distance. Manipulation is personalized. It adapts to your psychological profile. Understanding these tactics is not about labeling everyone who disagrees with you as manipulative. Conflict and misunderstanding are normal parts of human interaction. The difference lies in patterns. Manipulation is systematic. It prioritizes control over mutual respect. It thrives on confusion, dependency, and imbalance. So how do you protect yourself? The first step is awareness. Naming a tactic weakens its power. When you recognize gaslighting, you can document events. When you see guilt tripping, you can pause before reacting. The second step is strengthening your boundaries. Clear boundaries communicate what is acceptable and what is not. Manipulators often resist boundaries because boundaries limit control. Third, maintain external support systems. Friends, family, mentors, people who can provide perspective. Isolation fuels manipulation. Connection disrupts it. Fourth, trust patterns over promises. Manipulators may apologize eloquently, but consistent behavior reveals truth. Finally, rebuild self-trust. Manipulation often damages your confidence in your own judgment. Journaling, therapy, and reflection can help restore clarity. When you trust yourself, manipulation loses traction. Manipulative tactics operate in shadows, but awareness brings light. By understanding these strategies, you don't become cynical, you become empowered. You learn to distinguish between genuine vulnerability and strategic performance, between healthy compromise and coercion, between love and control. And perhaps most importantly, you learn that your perceptions matter. Your feelings are signals, not flaws. When something feels consistently confusing, destabilizing, or one-sided, it deserves examination. The secret tactics of manipulative people are not magic. They are psychological patterns repeated across relationships, workplaces, families, and social circles. Once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it, and that awareness becomes your greatest defense. If you found yourself recognizing certain behaviors, take a breath. Recognition is not weakness. It is strength. Manipulation thrives in silence and self-doubt. It weakens when confronted with clarity and confidence. The more you understand these dynamics, the less power they hold over you. And in that understanding, you reclaim something essential: your autonomy, your clarity, and your voice.